8-hour perfume for the 24-hour woman.
I can work till 5 o'clock, come home and read your tickety-tock.
Tonight I'm gonna cook for the kids.
And if it's loving you one, I can kiss you and give you the shivering fit.
Enjoli, the 8-hour perfume for your 24-hour woman.
I am mentally dying. During and after the 60s, rates of divorce climbed, not surprising. After all, you had women and men mixing it up at work, spending lots of time with powerful, attractive people of the opposite sex. Everybody was away from their families. But the third and fourth wave, they were very happy because women were becoming more like men. Isn't that insane? Like, you can't even value your own intrinsic worth, and the only way that you can actually measure and validate your own worth is to compare yourself to the thing that you say you dislike. Pursuing careers and relationships, all the like. Soon, women were even getting it on. They were having sex like men, which was to say that it was decoupled from responsibility, because then you had abortion on demand and you had birth control also. And abortion on demand, that really rose. Again, this was seen as a step forward by feminists. Casual sex was common. Feminists were happy. Women, that was viewed as empowerment. And women were now having all kinds of casual hookups. Just like men, they thought were always free to do. Of course, because they were always free to do, it didn't mean that they should have. By virtue of the fact that men obviously can't get pregnant. I mean, I don't know, now it's 2021 and they're gonna tell you otherwise. But of course, birth control isn't always used or always effective, so that meant a lot of kids that were being born, not with a two-parent household. And that was a problem for a lot of women too, because they viewed children as holding them back from a career and all of the whole all-important corner office. So you just really dream up this made-up constitutional right that's never existed, this whole abortion right, which is always portrayed as healthcare. And any feminist now, they act like that's the most important right today. Because after all, women pursuing career success and self-actualization like men get to do, that's the most important right of all, according to these third and fourth wave feminists. Now, even if that personal freedom and success comes at the expense of a woman starting a family and then maybe using abortion as last-ditch birth control, too late birth control, that probably helps explain the dehumanization of the unborn, because it's easier to dispose of someone if you unperson them, if you devalue them. All I'm saying is this, look, this first and second wave feminism, the Susan B. Anthony, suffrage, everything else, I get it. But now when you're looking at third and fourth wave feminism, this is about establishing a matriarchy. And it's not about equalizing women to men. It's about undermining men. You don't build yourself up by devaluing the other sex. This is not how it works. And it's incredibly costly to the nuclear family, to kids, to the fabric of America itself. And any woman's gonna tell you, like myself, when you pursue a career, it is a trade-off, just as it is a trade-off for men. You have long hours, you have stress, you're spending time away from your kids, you have a sense that you can never get it all done. And though this is not to say that women should not pursue careers, there are trade-offs in life, trade-offs with everything, because that's how life works. But third and fourth wave told women lies like you can have it all. This is a really interesting interview from The Atlantic a number of years ago. Former Pepsi company chairman and CEO Indra Nooyi, she said this after leading the Fortune 500 company for many years about the idea that women can have it all. Watch.
I don't think women can have it all. I just don't think so. We pretend we have it all. We pretend we can have it all. My husband and I married for 34 years, and we have 2 daughters. And every day you have to make a decision on whether you are going to be a wife or a mother. In fact, many times during the day, you have to make those decisions. And you have to co-opt a lot of people to help you. We co-opted our families to help us. We plan our lives meticulously so we can be decent parents. But if you ask our daughters, I'm not sure they will say that I've been a good mom. I'm not sure. And I try all kinds of coping mechanisms.
That was a really honest take, and kudos to her for being so unbelievably honest about it. You don't really get that from anybody today. It's a very honest take from someone who would probably define herself today as a feminist. So what, now we have fourth wave feminism, the version that argues there's literally no difference between men and women? This false idea, perhaps, was maybe always the destination of a movement that denied biological reality from the beginning. At least it morphed, it took something that started to actually give women rights and to equalize them in terms of standing before the law, and then took it now to where I don't even know what is feminism if they can't even stand up for women against men who want to identify as women and compete against them in sports. Now we're arguing that everything about men and women are simply cultural constructs. And we're told that there's not really any difference at all whatsoever between the sexes. So a man can now identify as a woman, and therefore he's a woman. And if you don't say it, then you're slurred as a TERF. And a woman can be a man simply by believing that it's so. I want $1 million. After all, the new biological reality, we're told, is that biology and gender are totally unconnected. And gender and traditional gender roles, they're just outdated cultural constructs from America's past. Now that lie has real world consequences. So like biological men who believe that they are women who identify that as that, winning Miss America pageants, defeating biological women in sports, this will only continue, especially in sports, by the way, because whether fourth wave feminism wants to acknowledge biological reality or not, biological reality doesn't go away. And it doesn't rely on you acknowledging it in order for it to exist. And so the trade-offs continue, and they only seem to get really bigger and costlier for women. The latest real-world consequence may soon be women can be drafted just like men into the military. And everyone's going to celebrate it, at least on the left, as this huge step forward by progressives. But like all of the so-called steps forward for women's equality, there are trade-offs. Are you ready to see your all's daughter marched off into war? Maybe against her will? And we could talk about whether there should be a draft at all, because no, there shouldn't be. It's ridiculous. Why are we even having this conversation? It's anti-conservative and anti-constitutional. But the reality that a draft could be activated at any time, that's real. I mean, think about it. The world is so ridiculously unstable right now. Look what's happening in the Pacific. Look what's happening in the Black Sea with Russia and Ukraine. And of course, now they just bypass Ukraine entirely. Ukraine lost its position as a transit country and a key piece to Russia's infrastructure, energy infrastructure. And so now, wow, Ukraine's not even protected anymore. You might see your daughter, your wife, your sister called to serve sooner than you think. And again, there's that stubborn biological reality that rears its head on a battlefield. Because see, even if it does come in many instances, the close combat is in close quarters, you don't really have everybody lining up on a battlefield like the days of yore, but brute strength matters a lot. And that's why war has been fought traditionally by men. Now, there are a lot of other things that women can do in the military and do in the military. There's also, we could discuss the psychological and emotional tolls, but if a woman has the skills and strength to participate in the military without anyone having to lower standards and they want to, great, that exists. But let's not treat the exception like the rule. And drafting women, compelling them to serve, something else entirely. I mean, you're putting women in harm's way without regard for their uniqueness, their differences, and yes, their biological reality. And though modern feminists will never admit it, the trade-offs and the consequences for this newfound right, the opportunity to be drafted, one of them is going to be you could die for your country in the same way that millions of American males have. Military historians have noted, and this is true across all wars and all soldiers, that when men die on the battlefield and their dying breath, a lot of them cry out for mothers. And soon our daughters, thanks to fourth wave feminism now, will have the opportunity to do the same. No country that has ever been great in the history of this world has ever sacrificed something so precious as its women.